Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is A Course in Miracles 365, Awakening to Love. I'm Reverend Tomas Garza, and we're at a very, very fun and interesting place here. And this video series has been going on for almost 2 years now. In fact, today is the 17th of October here in the United States. And we began this in January of 2021. It's now 2022, which means we've been at this for over 20 months now. And it's so much fun for me. And I want to thank all of you for tuning in, for all of the subscribers, all of the views, all of the comments, the likes, everything. It's really wonderful. And as always, much more important than that is your own commitment to your spiritual practice. So I really thank you and appreciate that because that's what the world needs, isn't it? It really is. That's what we all need are people that are willing to do this level of exploration and do this level of work, even though the world only pays lip service to it, is mortally afraid of it, and doesn't understand it. Despite the proliferation of spiritual traditions and spiritual practitioners here in the world, overall, most people think that we're nuts. They bandy the term woo woo about, they think we're nuts. However, what the world really needs are people that are willing to explore their spirituality. Isn't it? Isn't that exactly what we need? Because the way of the world, i.e., the way of the ego, isn't frickin' working, is it? So I appreciate your being here and your practice. Now, what I want to do here today and for the next couple of videos is reset and go back over some of the very basics of A Course in Miracles, because I know a number of you have just joined me, and there are over 600 videos in this series. And by the time we end, I don't think there's going to be an end, actually, by the way. We'll be well into the thousands before we know it. And what's relevant here is it's always good to check back in with ourselves on the path and go over some basic information. Whether you're brand new to this or whether you've been practicing this course for 30 years or more, we always need to come back to basics, don't we? Because here's what happens in any endeavor in the world, and our spiritual practice is no exception, is we get cute, we get detailed and technical, and it's always good to come back to the basics. So with that in mind, what I'm going to do is we'll pause and talk about some of the basics. I want to talk today about exactly what A Course in Miracles is and is not, which will be very helpful for all of us. Then I want to talk about miracles in another video, and then forgiveness in another video. There are many components to this course that stand out, and those are a couple of them. So we'll talk about them, and then what we'll do, starting with the preface of this course, is go into the text of A Course in Miracles. This video series, as you may know, started out with the workbook for students. We've been through the manual for teachers and the clarification of terms, and now we've finished the two supplements to A Course in Miracles. Those are Psychotherapy, Purpose, Process, and Practice, and the Song of Prayer, which we just wrapped up. So, what is this course? That's a really good question, actually, isn't it? So, if you have wandered in the spiritual marketplace, and it is that in this world, isn't it? If you have studied and explored various traditions, it's possible. Everyone's situation is different in this regard, but it's highly possible that you have been raised in a particular tradition and left it, or you're only partially in it because you have this inkling, this intuitive hit, a deep inner knowing that there's more out there. A Course in Miracles is not a religion, and well, happily, it's not that. It doesn't do the same things that conventional religion does in the sense of prescribing certain types of behavior, prescribing and proscribing, i.e., prohibiting certain types of behavior. It doesn't say anything about that. What's beautiful about this and what makes it directly relevant, frankly, to our times is that it is a self-study curriculum. It's a self-study curriculum. You take what you want as you are called, as you see fit, and honestly, as you're interested. And you may not be. And if you're not, no problem. I love to say, and I've said it in many videos, I'm about to say it again, right? There are many doors. There are many doors to spirituality, and A Course in Miracles is just one of them. It is a self-study curriculum, and it is just one manifestation of what Jesus refers to as the universal course. So we'll be going into, when we start the preface and the text of A Course in Miracles, we'll be going into and spending a little bit more time on the history of this course, how it came about, and all of that. That material is presented in many places in print, so we'll spend more time on that. But Jesus is the voice that dictated this course, starting in 1965 to Dr. Helen Schuckman, a medical psychologist at Columbia University in New York. So, yeah. So he describes this as one part of the universal curriculum. So, what's the universal curriculum? It's spirituality in general, universal, isn't it? It's our own awakening, which is something that we're all on the path to. And every door leads us into the path. Some look different, some are more ornate and elaborate, some are barely decorated at all. Of course, I'm using this as a metaphor, but you get my point. There are many ways to explore and practice your spirituality. This is just one. So, what's different about this one? Well, first of all, it's a self-study curriculum. We study with our inner teacher. This course aims to get us in touch with our inner teacher. It's the Holy Spirit here in A Course in Miracles. So that is our inner teacher. Now, if you're practicing another spiritual tradition, it is entirely possible to study and practice this course and gain significant insight into your own path and derive amazing, amazing, tangible, palpable benefit from it. People do this all the time. So feel welcome to take this material and use it as you are called. Of course, we're invited not to twist these words to our own meaning or to our own branding. I'll get to what is very unique about this course in just a moment, but it's self-study. So no one is telling you you must do this, do that. Yes, there are suggestions. Yes, there are ideas, and we're invited to want the peace of God. So what this course does is it removes all of the blockages that we have placed ourselves to the awareness of love's presence that's direct from the Course itself. In other words, our blocks to truth, our awareness of who we really are. We're simply removing those obstacles. And we're acknowledging as we do it that we, in fact, put them in place. So if you've struggled being raised in perhaps a tradition that said there is a cruel, vindictive, jealous God that aims to punish you, if that never sat well with you, I want to invite you to study this material. You may find something that's of great benefit and value to you in here. A bit of personal history. I was raised in two fundamentalist Christian traditions as a kid. One, my parents left when I was, about 8 or 9, and the other, I left when I got my driver's license at age 15. I was one of those kids in Sunday school that wanted to know why this judgment was in place, how love, i.e., God, could possibly discriminate in any way, how he could reserve a certain beautiful place, a garden under which rivers flow, or whatever you think of heaven as. How could he reserve that for some and deny it to others and punish them throughout eternity, of course, with no possibility of ever escaping? But how could that possibly be? I never got an answer from the adults when I would periodically open my mouth and raise these questions. I never got a satisfactory answer, nor did I get a satisfactory answer to the question, what's the Holy Spirit? What role does he play or it play? Because really it's an it. It's not a human. Neither is God. So this course brings a lot of ideas together. It talks about the ego, which may be familiar to you if you have studied Buddhism, which I also have for over a decade. It's a term that's familiar to many of us. And this course really combines East and West. It draws heavily from Buddhism. The idea of the ego is the idea of a separate sense of self. That's how we identify. We identify as individuals, as our name, as our gender, as our nationality, et cetera, as our profession, as our career choice, right? As our status as a parent, brother, sister, husband, wife, whatever. Lots of worldly identifications. And in truth, we're just as God created us. So we're getting back to that. What's unique about A Course in Miracles is that, well, it cuts right to the chase. There are a handful of spiritual traditions in this world that subscribe to what we call non-duality. A Course in Miracles is pure non-duality. What that means is reality can be summed up. It's beyond words. It's beyond words. It's beyond all of our worldly experience and concepts, including that of being a human being, by the way. It's beyond all of that, but here in the world where we use words to communicate with one another, we can sum it all up in the statement, God is, period. What people find easier, not necessarily easy, but easier to accept is just the statement, what it says, God is. Many people have no problem with that. What that statement implies is what gives people the most pause and troubles them greatly. God is means that only God is. Nothing else is. Nothing else exists. That and everything that appears to us in the world, including the world itself. This is a thought system. A Course in Miracles is a thought system that is designed to turn our thinking about ourselves, other people, and the world itself completely on its head. We are invited to practice and entertain these ideas and let our experience, because it's a self-study course, let our experience show us that they're true. Now, this may or may not be a familiar idea to you based on your spiritual background. However, you're watching this, so there's a part of you deep down that is very, very interested. So I invite you to listen to that. Whatever you do with it, whatever you do with these videos, whatever you do with the Course in Miracles, it's pure non-dualism. I'll tell you what, it's the shortest line in spirituality. The ego, our sense of self with which we identify in the world, doesn't want to hear this at all and will do anything to distract you gently at first, with force later on. You may be really, really familiar with that. Doesn't want to hear it. Many spiritual traditions in the modern spiritual marketplace don't want to hear this either. And you may know people that are absolutely, definitely not ready for this message. And that's fine. It's one of many doors. Enter into this door, and you will, should you stick with it, discover for yourself experientially the truth of all that is. Your destiny is the same as mine, is the same as anyone's, and that is complete awakening. We've never left our source. And in speaking of pure non-duality, let's wrap up with this. If you're ever unsure or confused about what A Course in Miracles really means, come back to the summary, which we'll get to in a few days and spend more time on. But this is something that really helps me as a course student. And by the way, there's nothing special about me. I'm a student of this material right along with you. It's my calling to turn on the camera and microphone and teach. Yours can look completely different, and that's fine, isn't it? The summary is nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. Right? Nothing real can be threatened. Who we really are cannot be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. It appears to exist for sure, doesn't it? The pictures behind me appear to exist. The rug certainly appears to exist. The camera that I'm looking at appears to exist, right? Our body's senses tell us that all of this is real. We're invited to entertain the notion, however fanciful it may seem to you right now, that it's not real. So what does practice look like? Well, there are a number of people out there in the world that are course students. There are study groups that online and in person where people can gather and discuss. There are online discussion forums, but the meat of it all, so to speak. The real action is in your own learning with your inner teacher. Again, it's a self-study curriculum. So I hope that this has been of help to you. I want to talk in the next video. I almost said the next vehicle, right? The next shiny car. Right? The next video will be about miracles, and then we'll talk about forgiveness as this course presents it. And then we'll get into it. We'll get into the depth of the text of this course, which is very beautiful and very revealing. So I invite you to stick around here, and thank you for all of the recent subscriptions and views. This button right here is a subscribe button. So the little red arrow, please hit that. I'd love to have you on board here, and feel welcome also to leave comments or email me with questions or comments. I'm here to help. I'm here as a guide. So welcome aboard if you're new to this. And if you're a longtime veteran, welcome back. Okay, here we go. All right, guys, thanks so much. Talk to you soon.